It's on already.
Oh, thank you, Jabal, for the warm welcome in this very cold weather. And thank you, Ambassador, for welcoming us as brothers and sisters to provide the context for our shared challenges, solutions, and hopes. So with the support of the German Federal Ministry of the Environment through the International Climate Initiative, or IKI, Rare Fish Forever is working to inspire local communities to implement sustainable fisheries and revitalize coastal communities. Palau is the very westernmost Pacific island before you reach Indonesian Pacific, and Rare has begun working there to implement Fish Forever. Rare now works in 8 countries over 1,000 communities using a replicable model rooted in behavior science to inspire women and men fishers to practice sustainable fishing practices and to be involved in the management of those fisheries. We are also pleased to announce that we now have a global network of local leaders that have pledged to prioritize the protection and the revitalization of their coastal fisheries. This network is called the Coastal 500, and with assistance and support of Bloomberg Philanthropies Vibrant Ocean Initiative, this network continues to grow. These partnerships of local leaders and international partners has resulted in over 4 million hectares of coastal ocean water being put under sustainable management. Fish Forever works by incentivizing fishers to register and obtain fisher IDs, enabling them to be recognized as fishery stewards, to assign rights to fishing areas, and to understand who is fishing where and what they're catching. Ultimately, this instills a sense of ownership in the health and protection of these fishing grounds. Fish Forever also advocates respecting fishing regulations that both women and men promulgate in partnership with local leaders and national government. This includes the use of indigenous knowledge backed by data and science, and through participatory mapping of managed access areas plus reserves. Fish Forever also removes barriers to allow men and women fishers to report their catch and enables management decisions to be based in real-time catch data. These and a suite of tools that include household surveys that reveal socioeconomic data, development of a pride campaign, climate change vulnerability assessments, site-specific ecological data, and a suite of other tools for practitioners, implementation managers, decision makers are all made available through an online portal through the RARE system. But why is ensuring sustainable coastal fisheries important? Studies in Palau have revealed that 70% fishers perceive that 70% of their fisheries are in decline. And science also reveals that this is just as true. But this is not just in Palau, but is a prevalent status in many Asia-Pacific countries. Over 1 billion people rely on these coastal fisheries. 85% of the world's coral and 100% of all mangroves are in coastal areas within 12 nautical miles from shore. Overfishing and habitat degradation is common. Communities that rely on these coastal fisheries are among the poorest and most vulnerable, and they are often undervalued and thus are not well managed or resourced. On top of these challenges, climate change is also impacting small-scale fisheries on a much wider scale. Brothers and sisters, coastal fisheries across the Asia-Pacific region are facing the challenges of climate change now. The science is telling us that within my lifetime, 40% of fish biomass from coastal fisheries will disappear. This is due through acidification, overfishing, habitat degradation, and unsustainable development. Climate change causing extreme weather patterns through drought and the resulting upland fires cause sedimentation to further impact these coastal fisheries. Super typhoons and cyclones will continue to wreck key habitats and fisheries. This resulting unbalanced ecosystem will see invasive species run rampant and the increase in competition for these fishing grounds. But Fish Forever and other efforts, as we've heard today, are combating this challenge. There is massive support for the management of open water, male-dominated fisheries. But coastal fisheries need just as much, if not more support. We simply all cannot live off pelagic fisheries. In Palau, it is recognized that both men and women both have a role in the transfer of knowledge and indigenous ways to protect those fisheries and are recognized as stewards of this information. 6 years ago, Palau enacted the Palau National Marine Sanctuary. Science is telling us that 83% of global carbon cycle is circulated through the ocean, and the ocean can sequester up to 21% of our carbon. It's fitting that in Palau, the Marine Sanctuary calls for the protection of 80% and the development of domestic fisheries for that 20% of the Palau National Marine Sanctuary. But in keeping with that notion that men and women both play a role in the fisheries management, mangroves are also a key important regulator for climate change. And the support that goes to these pelagic open water fisheries needs to also be replicated for women fishers and their coastal fisheries near shore. So what has Fish Forever been able to achieve in Palau? As I mentioned in the start, the suite of tools that RARE has made available has happened in Palau, where two local communities have signed on to be members of the Coastal 500 and have signed on to develop managed access area plus reserves. These two governors have continued to provide that drive to ensure that they continue to protect these vulnerable fisheries for the future. They are also signed on and we have worked to create all this data, including the household survey data, the climate change vulnerability assessments, larval disbursement data, and have loaded all of these into the RARE data portal, allowing practitioners and local fishermen access to that data to help in management decisions. Our work with the national government has also been fruitful. We agreed on a partnership with the Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries, and Environment to create the first national fisher registration for Palau. We aim to register every single fisherman, to know how many fishers are registered, to know their catch effort and catch value, and we ensure that we use the socioeconomic survey and that data on how to engage these fishermen. I want to slowly leave this presentation with this symbol that is depicted on our community meeting houses. It's called the Mesebeluu. Simply translated, always plan for tomorrow. This symbol is our logo for our national campaign to register fishers. It has two heads, one male and one female, sharing one body. It embodies the way Palauans make decisions. There are many ideas and solutions, but after we make that decision, we must act in unison. We must be cohesive in our efforts to protect our fisheries. And within that circle, it's an interesting story. I will indulge, but there are many symbols of different issues that must be addressed. When to plant, when to harvest, what to do during drought. And so I think it's a key symbol, especially here in COP26. Ultimately, there are many wonderful solutions to our most pressing problems, but I want to continue to challenge us to use indigenous knowledge and to empower resource owners, local practitioners, and coastal communities. As brothers and sisters, we are all standing in the front line of climate change. And as Ambassador graciously began this context, I will borrow from his wonderful example. You can teach, if you give a person a fish, he'll eat for a day. If you teach a person a fish, he may eat longer. But if you give that fisherman a seat at the table, well, wonders will happen. I will leave you with this QR code. If you are interested to learn more, this will take you to our Rare Fish Forever portal site. And thank you very much for the opportunity.